We've been warning about how the Floridian war on education, war on an accurate understanding of history is gonna reach these ridiculous lengths. And it is, not just in the many books that are being banned, but also what is in the books that aren't banned. Take a look at this. Studies Weekly, one of the companies that produces these textbooks, in this case for 45,000 Florida schools, created a version of its lesson on Rosa Parks for first graders for the state's review of social studies curriculum. This version they made regarding Parks, the black woman who refused to give up her bus seat to a white man, does not explicitly mention that she was black at all. In the current lesson on Rosa Parks, segregation is clearly explained. Quote, the law said African Americans had to give up their seats on the bus if a white person wanted to sit down. But in the initial version that they created for the review, race is mentioned indirectly. Quote, she was told to move to a different seat because of the color of her skin. What color? Who's to say? I don't know, certainly I'm not telling. But then they decided, nope, that still kind of hints at the truth, so that can't be allowed. So in their second version, they say, quote, she was told to move to a different seat. She did not. She did what she believed was right. I don't even know, who's the she at that point? Who's the she? What's the context? What's the race? Why are they doing this? Who's to say? What do you think, this is a school that you're in? You're reading to learn? No. There's another example, by the way, from the same publisher. She was a 4th grade lesson about the Civil War, which removed language saying black people were discriminated against under black codes, a series of laws created after the Civil War to restrict freedoms of black people, instead opting for language like certain groups. Which certain group? Like at some point, maybe they'll teach about, that internment that happened during World War II. It affected people. Who's to say who? It was sort of like a summer camp situation. There was probably some political stuff going on, but I don't want to be specific because I don't want to be sued. This is ridiculous, JR. How fast we've gotten to this point.
Yeah, and it's going even faster. They're trying to increase this exponentially. So this is the way this whole thing is supposed to work. It's a slow peel and burn, and eventually none of it is even there anymore. But do you think maybe some of the American Revolution lessons will say, so an unidentified country is where these folks came from, and then they began their own life over here, and then they went to war with another unidentified country we won't name here because we might offend some British folks. What are we concerned with? It's the reality. It's what happened. As a matter of fact, many Americans, we hang our hat on it. Those effing Brits, they tried to oppress us, and now look what came from that. That's the process behind the whole thing with the Revolutionary War, right? They're weak. His most powerful country in the world with this greatest army ever, we defeated them. You have to say the name of the country or else it doesn't make much sense. Why would we know about the greatest army at the time or military at the time that these ragtag group of colonists then all defeated? That's part of the story. It's a major part of the story. So why would you exclude the major parts of this story? Because maybe you're the oppressor that doesn't want these things said. By the way, I did a one-off video here over on the watch list of Nikki Haley at one of these events trying to promote herself for president. And she said, which many conservatives always say, if white kids are taught about these types of things, they'll start to feel bad about themselves. And if black kids are taught about these things, they'll start to think that they're always the victim. So with this Rosa Parks situation, since it's taught this way, how are white folks gonna feel bad about themselves if they've seen that white folks are the ones that were implementing these laws? That's the whole idea, right? That's the reality. They'll feel bad about it maybe because they would agree with those laws. Why would you feel bad about something that was horrific and done to other folks that you're supposed to see as equal? None of this makes any sense. The whole point is to make sure that you keep the same positions of power. And in fact, it's kind of proven out the whole point, the things that are taught when it comes to the history and how we've gotten to where we are now.
Yeah, speaking as a white male, I feel bad about what happened during that time because I feel bad for the people who it happened to. I don't feel personally responsible, and I don't believe that sort of stuff should happen. I feel like this is a pretty simple thing to get through. Remember, their argument is they're trying to make education woke. Like they're trying to change what it exists to make it more understanding or compassion or whatever. Like we're so far from that. They're taking out the facts that have been taught for literally decades and decades and decades to seemingly no negative effect whatsoever. Multiple generations have learned about Rosa Parks, and I feel like America has mostly continued forward unimpeded by the reality of the situation. But now that can't even be taught. I mean, I see some great comments of people coming up with versions of this. I've lost some of them, but like, what if it's gonna make one group feel bad? How are we supposed to explain the major event that led to the US entering World War II? On the morning of December 7th, 1941, there were Japanese planes and American ships. And by nightfall, some of those things weren't there anymore. I don't have an opinion on it. How is this supposed to work? And again, these are the same exact people that say that they're against cancel culture, with cancel culture being supposedly shutting down speech that makes people feel bad. Supposedly, that's their definition of it. They're taking out facts that make people feel bad. They're also the people that say facts don't care about your feelings. So all of this is, and they know all of this. They're aware that this is censorship. They're aware of exactly the racial motivations of it. The only question is going to be, are we going to allow them to win? Are we going to allow them to launch us into multiple generations who don't understand a single damn thing about America and what it's done over the years?
Well, that's the plan. But by the way, folks also like to say to stop complaining about racial issues in the country because we've come so far. How can we come so far if you don't acknowledge that we were ever somewhere else? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's just hide the whole thing.
Yeah, someone said the blank cost. Yeah, the Trail of Tears was when some people went somewhere. Don't ask any follow-ups. Again, but they believe in freedom. Okay, they believe in freedom and facts.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.